Captain Mark Thompson stood at the main viewport of the Earth Coalition vessel Horizon, staring into the vast emptiness of space. His weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass as the ship cruised at the edge of our solar system. After 15 years of space exploration, Mark thought he had seen everything the cosmos had to offer. He was wrong. "Captain, you need to see this." The voice of Emma Davis, the ship's sensor specialist, crackled over the intercom. Her usually calm tone carried an edge that made Mark straighten his back. "On my way," he replied, making his way to the bridge with quick, practiced steps. When he arrived, the entire bridge crew sat frozen at their stations, eyes fixed on the main display. Mark followed their gaze and felt his breath catch in his throat. A massive ship hung against the backdrop of stars. It was unlike anything humans had ever built, sleek and silvery with strange geometric patterns covering its hull. It measured at least 5 miles from end to end, dwarfing the horizon like a whale next to a minnow. "How did it get so close without us noticing?" Mark asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Emma shook her head. "It just appeared, sir. One moment there was nothing, the next—" She gestured helplessly at the screen. Jack Wilson, the communications officer, suddenly jumped in his seat. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission. It's not using any Earth protocols, but somehow our systems are translating it." Mark swallowed hard. First contact. This was the moment every space explorer dreamed of but secretly feared. Put it through. The main screen flickered and an alien face appeared. The creature had smooth blue-gray skin, large eyes with vertical pupils and no visible nose. When it spoke, its thin mouth barely moved, but the voice that came through the speakers was clear and precise. "Greetings, vessel of Earth. We are the Viren Collective. We come in peace and observation." Mark stepped forward, shoulders squared. "This is Captain Mark Thompson of the Earth Coalition vessel Horizon. We welcome you to our solar system and extend friendship on behalf of humanity." The alien blinked slowly. "We have been monitoring your civilization from afar. The time has come for closer assessment. We request permission to send a small delegation to your vessel for preliminary contact." After a quick conference with Earth Command, who were both excited and cautious about the development, Mark granted permission. The bridge crew watched in amazement as a small shuttle detached from the massive alien ship and approached the horizon. Dr. Lisa Reed, the ship's chief exobiologist, met Mark at the docking bay. Her eyes shone with barely contained excitement. "Can you believe it, Captain? Actual aliens. My whole career has been leading to this moment." She clutched her tablet tightly, ready to record every detail. Mark placed a calming hand on her shoulder. "Remember protocol, Doctor. Friendly but cautious." The airlock cycled open, and 3 aliens stepped aboard. They wore form-fitting suits that covered their entire bodies with transparent helmets revealing their blue-gray faces. Each carried a small device that blinked with colorful lights. Mark stepped forward with a practiced smile. "Welcome aboard the Horizon." The tallest alien inclined its head. "I am Delegate Vex of the Viren Collective. These are my associates, Science Officer Marn and Cultural Observer Prell." Its voice came through a translator device at its throat. "We appreciate your hospitality. We've prepared a conference room for our meeting," Mark said, gesturing down the corridor. "If you'll follow me." As they walked, Lisa studied the aliens with professional interest. Despite their humanoid shape, 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head, the differences were fascinating. They moved with a fluid grace, almost gliding rather than walking. In the conference room, Mark introduced key members of his crew: Lisa, Security Chief Robert Brown, and his second-in-command, Commander Anna Patel. "We've prepared information about Earth and humanity for your review," Anna said, sliding a data tablet across the table. Vex regarded it without touching it. "We prefer to use our own devices for data collection." He placed one of their blinking devices on the table. It projected a holographic display that rotated slowly in the air. "This will passively scan your vessel and record our conversation." Robert tensed slightly, his security training kicking in. "What exactly are you scanning for?" "Standard environmental and biological data," Science Officer Marn replied. Her voice was higher pitched than Vex's, almost musical. It is protocol for all first contacts. The meeting proceeded with exchanges of basic information, star charts, historical timelines, and cultural overviews. The Varans explained they were part of a vast galactic community that monitored developing spacefaring civilizations. Your species has advanced remarkably quickly, Vex noted. From primitive flight to interplanetary travel in less than 2 centuries. We're curious by nature, Mark replied with a slight smile. Throughout the meeting, Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She noticed how the aliens kept their distance from all the humans, how they flinched almost imperceptibly when anyone moved too quickly, and most curiously, they remained in their environmental suits despite scans showing the ship's atmosphere should be perfectly safe for their biology based on the data they'd shared. When there was a brief pause in the conversation, Lisa leaned forward. If I may ask, why do you continue to wear your environmental protection? Our preliminary analysis suggests our atmosphere wouldn't harm you. The 3 Varans exchanged quick glances, a movement so subtle Lisa almost missed it. Standard protocol for first contact situations, Vex answered smoothly. We maintain isolation until full biological compatibility is confirmed. Lisa nodded, but her scientific instincts told her there was more to it. She made a note to review the atmospheric data again. The meeting continued for another hour before Vex suddenly stood. We have collected sufficient preliminary data. We must return to our vessel to process this information. Mark frowned at the abrupt end to the meeting. Of course, but we hope to continue our discussions. There's so much we can learn from each other. Indeed, Vex replied, though his tone had cooled noticeably. We will contact you again once our analysis is complete. As they escorted the aliens back to the airlock, Lisa pulled Mark aside. Captain, something's not right. Their reaction when I mentioned their suits, I noticed, Mark muttered. And did you see how their scanner started blinking faster when they passed the oxygen recycling station? Before Lisa could respond, they reached the airlock where the aliens were already boarding their shuttle. Vex turned back briefly. Until we meet again, Captain Thompson. There was something in his voice. Was it concern? Fear? The shuttle departed, returning to the massive ship looming in the distance. On the bridge, the crew watched as the alien vessel suddenly began to move, accelerating away from Earth at incredible speed. They're leaving? Anna asked, confused. Just like that? Mark's eyes narrowed as he watched the retreating ship. No, Commander, I don't think they're leaving. He pointed to the ship's energy readings on the display. They're powering up something big and they're transmitting massive data packets toward the center of the galaxy. What does it mean, Captain? Emma asked. Mark's expression darkened. I don't know, but something we did or said spooked them, and I have a feeling we're going to find out what it was sooner than we'd like. Back on the Varan vessel, Science Officer Marn burst into the command center, her environmental suit already removed as she clutched a datapad with trembling hands. Hi, Commander. You must see this analysis immediately. Her voice shook with panic. The humans, their entire planet, it's beyond anything we could have imagined. The High Commander took the pad, his eyes widening as he read. This can't be possible. He looked up, genuine fear in his eyes for the first time in his long career. Sound the evacuation alarm. We must leave this system immediately and warn the collective. The alarm echoed through the massive ship as it accelerated away from Earth, leaving behind a confused humanity, completely unaware that they had just been classified as the most dangerous species in the known galaxy. The Viran vessel tore through space, pushing its engines beyond safe limits. Inside the command center, High Commander Lorne reviewed the scan data for the 5th time, hoping he had somehow misunderstood. The results remained the same. This cannot be real, he muttered, his blue-gray skin paling to an ashy white. An entire civilization breathing oxygen? Science Officer Marn nodded, her hands still trembling. The scans are clear, Commander. Their atmosphere is approximately 21% oxygen. They don't just tolerate it, they require it to live. For the Virans, whose chlorine-based biology made oxygen highly toxic and corrosive, this revelation was horrifying. In their experience, oxygen was used primarily as an industrial oxidizer or weapon component, never as a life support element. Look. At these readings, Marn continued, pointing to the scan of a human. The oxygen doesn't just surround them. It flows through their blood vessels, saturates their tissues. They are literally filled with it. Medical Officer Jal, who had joined the emergency meeting, shook his head in disbelief. Such biology should be impossible, unless... Unless what? Commander Lorne demanded. Unless they were engineered as living weapons, Jal finished quietly. A species designed to survive in conditions that would kill any normal life form. A heavy silence fell over the command center. The implications were terrifying. If humans could not only survive but thrive while carrying a highly reactive gas in their bodies, what other deadly adaptations might they possess? We must warn them, collective immediately, Lorne decided. Prepare a full report with all scan data. Mark this system as extremely hazardous. As the Viran ship accelerated toward the jump point that would allow them to send a faster-than-light message to their homeworld, the humans they left behind remained completely unaware of the terrible misunderstanding that had just occurred. 3. Days after the Viran's abrupt departure, the crew of the Horizon remained puzzled. Captain Mark Thompson sat in his office reviewing the footage of the alien visit for what felt like the 100th time. A knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. "Enter," he called. Dr. Lisa Reed walked in, carrying her tablet. Dark circles under her eyes suggested she'd been sleeping as little as he had. "Any breakthroughs?" Mark asked, gesturing for her to sit. Lisa shook her head. "Not exactly, but I've been analyzing the readings we got from their scanner device. It was collecting atmospheric data, but with a strange focus on oxygen levels." "Oxygen?" Mark frowned. "What's special about oxygen?" "I'm not sure," Lisa admitted. "But I noticed their scanner activity spiked when they passed our life support systems and again when they were near any crew members. It's almost as if..." She paused, trying to find the right words. "As if our oxygen was of particular interest to them." Before Mark could respond, his communication panel beeped. "Captain, this is Wilson in communications. We've detected another massive data burst from the alien vessel. They're transmitting toward the same coordinates as before." "On my way," Mark responded, standing quickly. He gave Lisa a concerned look. "Whatever spooked them, they're still very interested in us." On the bridge, the crew had gathered around the main sensor display. Jack Wilson pointed to a series of energy spikes on his screen. "The aliens are at the edge of our sensor range, but they're generating enormous power. These readings suggest they've activated some kind of faster-than-light communication array." Jake Wells, the military intelligence analyst who had been added to the crew after the alien encounter, studied the data with narrowed eyes. "They're sending a lot of information about us to someone. The question is, what are they saying? And to whom?" Mark added grimly. "Captain," Emma called from her station, "Earth Command is requesting an update. They want to know if we've re-established contact with the aliens." Mark sighed. "Tell them no contact, but we're monitoring unusual communication activity and request permission to remain at our current position rather than returning to Earth. I want to see if the aliens come back." As days turned into weeks with no sign of the Virans, Earth grew increasingly anxious. The brief alien encounter had sparked a mix of excitement and fear across the planet. Some saw it as the dawn of a new era of interstellar cooperation. Others warned of potential threats from beyond the stars. The Horizon maintained its vigil at the edge of the solar system, joined now by 3 additional Earth vessels. Together they formed a small but watchful outpost, humanity's first line of both welcome and defense. 6 months after first contact, Science Officer Marn stood nervously before the Viran High Council. Behind her, High Commander Lorne waited silently, his career and reputation hanging on her presentation. "The evidence is conclusive," Marn explained, showing holographic images of human physiology. "These humans not only survive in an oxygen-rich environment, but have evolved to require it. Their blood cells actively transport oxygen throughout their bodies. What would be deadly poison to us is their life essence. The 7 council members exchanged troubled glances. Could this be natural? Evolution, asked one elderly counselor. Marn hesitated. It's theoretically possible, but highly improbable. In all our centuries of space exploration, we've never encountered a species with such extreme biochemistry. What are you suggesting, science officer? The head counselor's voice was sharp. There are 2 possibilities, Marn replied carefully. Either they evolved naturally in conditions we would consider lethal, or, she took a deep breath, or they were engineered as biological weapons by some ancient civilization. Murmurs rippled through the council chamber. Their technology is advancing rapidly, Commander Lorne added. They've moved from primitive atmospheric flight to space exploration in less than 2 centuries. Such acceleration is unprecedented. The head counselor looked grim. And if they were to discover worlds with chlorine atmospheres like ours? They would likely view our worlds as targets for colonization, Lorne stated. Our atmosphere would eliminate their need for oxygen production facilities. They could simply release their poison into our air and wait for us to die. After hours of debate, the council reached its decision. A fleet would be dispatched to the human solar system, not for peaceful contact, but to establish a quarantine perimeter. The oxygen-breathing humans would be contained until the collective could determine how to neutralize the threat they posed. What the Virans couldn't understand was that humans were just as natural as they were, simply evolved under completely different conditions. What they saw as a weapon was simply a different path of evolution. Back on the horizon, the sensor alert blared without warning. Emma's fingers flew across her console as she tried to process the readings. "Captain," she called, her voice tight with urgency. "Multiple objects just appeared at the edge of our detection range. Big ones." Mark rushed to the bridge, Lisa close behind him. The main screen showed at least 12 massive shapes where empty space had been moments before. "Configuration?" Mark demanded. "Similar to the vessel we encountered 6 months ago, but these appear to be different." Emma looked up, her face pale. "Based on their energy signatures and structure, they appear to be warships, sir." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. "Open a channel," Mark ordered. "All frequencies." Jack tried repeatedly, but received no response. "They're ignoring us, Captain." The alien ships moved with precise coordination, beginning to spread out in a formation that would effectively block the route between Earth and the rest of the galaxy. "They're not here for friendly contact," Jake said quietly. "They're setting up a blockade." Mark watched as more ships continued to appear, their numbers growing by the minute. "Send an emergency message to Earth Command. All ships on full alert." "Status." He turned to Lisa, who looked as shocked as everyone else. "Doctor, whatever you discovered about their interest in oxygen, I think we need to figure it out fast, because I'm starting to think our visitors see something in us that terrifies them." Little did they know that what the Virans feared most was the very air humans breathed, the dangerous life support that was about to trigger an interstellar war based on nothing more than a tragic misunderstanding. The situation at the edge of Earth's solar system grew tenser with each passing hour. 23 Viran warships now formed a blockade, their weapons charged, but not yet firing. On Earth, panic spread as news of the alien fleet reached the public. Admiral James Blackwell of Earth Defense Command stared at the holographic display showing the alien positions. Around him, military leaders from around the world argued about how to respond. "We should strike first," insisted General Harris of the North American Alliance. "Show them we won't be intimidated." "And start an interstellar war we cannot win?" countered the Chinese representative, General Wu. "Their technology is clearly superior to ours." Admiral Blackwell raised his hand for silence. "Before we make any decisions, let's hear from the people who actually met these aliens." He nodded to the screen where Captain Mark Thompson and Dr. Lisa Reed waited from aboard the Horizon. "Captain Thompson, in your opinion, why have the Virans returned with a battle fleet?" Mark looked tired but composed. "Sir, we still don't know for certain. They've ignored all attempts at communication, but Dr. Reed has developed a theory." Lisa stepped forward. "After analyzing data from our first contact, I believe the Virans may have fundamentally misunderstood something about human biology. Their scanners showed unusual interest in our oxygen levels. Oxygen? Blackwell frowned. What's significant about oxygen? I wasn't sure until recently, Lisa explained. But we managed to recover fragments of the environmental suit one of the Virans was wearing. The material analysis was fascinating. It's designed specifically to prevent any contact with oxygen molecules. To them, oxygen appears to be highly toxic, General Harris scoffed. So they're afraid of the air we breathe? That's ridiculous. Not to them, Lisa insisted. If their biology evolved using chlorine instead of oxygen, which is entirely possible, then our atmosphere would be as deadly to them as chlorine gas would be to us. A thoughtful silence fell over the command center. You're suggesting this blockade is based on a misunderstanding? Admiral Blackwell asked. I believe they see us as dangerous because we survive in what they consider a toxic environment, Lisa nodded. Possibly even as a threat to their worlds. Mark added, we need to find a way to communicate this mutual misunderstanding before things escalate further. Before Admiral Blackwell could respond, alarms blared across the command center. Sir, one of our patrol ships near Neptune has opened fire on a Viran scout vessel, a communications officer reported. Mark's face paled. Who authorized weapons? Release? No one, sir, the officer replied. Captain Rogers of the Defiant reports the alien ship was scanning their life support systems and he interpreted it as an attack preparation. Admiral Blackwell closed his eyes briefly. And so it begins. High Commander Lorne received the report with grim satisfaction. The humans have fired the first shot just as expected. Their aggressive nature confirms our worst fears. The scout ship was merely conducting atmospheric analysis, Science Officer Marn pointed out. They might have misinterpreted. It doesn't matter, Lorne cut her off. The Council has authorized full containment measures. The humans cannot be allowed to spread through the galaxy, carrying their poisonous biology with them. He turned to his weapons officer. Target their patrol vessels first. Minimal damage. I want prisoners for study. Across the vacuum of space, blue energy beams lanced out from 3 Viran warships, striking the human vessels with surgical precision. The Defiant lost engine power immediately. 2 other patrol ships managed to return fire before being disabled. The first battle between humans and aliens had begun. A battle founded entirely on a biological misunderstanding. On Earth, military forces worldwide went on high alert. Fighter squadrons launched, nuclear weapons were readied, and civilians crowded into emergency shelters. The planet prepared for possible invasion, unaware that the Virans had no interest in their world, only in containing what they saw as a biological threat. Aboard the Horizon, now functioning as a forward command post, Mark received emergency authorization to attempt communication with the Viran fleet. We're broadcasting on all frequencies and in the format they used during first contact, Jack Wilson reported. But they're not responding. Keep trying, Mark ordered. And patch me through to Dr. Reed in the lab. Lisa appeared on his screen, surrounded by equipment and looking exhausted. Captain, I've made progress. The recovered Viran suit fragments contain compounds that react violently with oxygen. Their entire biology must be based on entirely different chemical processes than ours. Can you use this to prove we're not a threat to them? If I could directly show them how our different biologies evolved naturally, maybe. Lisa ran a hand through her tangled hair. But I need more information about their physiology, preferably a living specimen. Mark frowned. That won't be easy given the current. An explosion rocked the ship, cutting off his words. The lights flickered as emergency systems engaged. Status. Report, Mark shouted as he steadied himself. Direct hit to our starboard section, Anna Patel reported from the bridge. Shields holding at 62%, 3 Viran vessels approaching. Mark rushed to the bridge where view screens showed the battle unfolding across the solar system. Earth ships were being systematically disabled, though the aliens seemed to be avoiding destroying them entirely. They're capturing our vessels, Jake Wells noted, studying the tactical display. Taking prisoners. Or specimens, Lisa said as she joined them on the bridge. If they think we're biological weapons, they'll want to study us. Another blast hit the horizon, stronger than the first. Sparks flew from a nearby console. Shields at 37%, Anna reported grimly. We can't take another hit like that. Mark made a quick decision. Set course for Earth, maximum speed. We need to deliver Dr. Reed's findings to command before we're captured. As the horizon turned and accelerated toward Earth, the Viren ships followed in pursuit. The game of cat and mouse through the outer solar system gave the humans precious time. Time that Lisa used to finalize her research and prepare a comprehensive report on the biological misunderstanding at the heart of the conflict. But even as the horizon raced homeward, the Viren fleet commander implemented the next phase of their containment plan. From 5 of their largest vessels, smaller objects were deployed, speeding toward Earth with single-minded purpose. Captain, we're detecting multiple launches from the alien fleet, Emma reported, her voice tight with concern. Trajectory analysis shows they're heading for major population centers on Earth. Nuclear defense systems? Mark asked. Jake shook his head. The objects are too small and fast for current Earth defenses to track effectively. Lisa looked up from her data analysis, her face pale. If they truly believe our oxygen atmosphere makes us dangerous, those could be weapons designed to target our air. Explain, Mark demanded. Antimatter bombs, Lisa said quietly. Designed to ignite our atmosphere. They don't want to invade Earth. They want to neutralize what they see as a biological threat. The bridge fell silent as the horrifying possibility sank in. A simple misunderstanding about different evolutionary paths was about to escalate into genocide. Mark's jaw tightened as he made the hardest decision of his career. Change of plans. We're not running away. He turned to Anna. Set an intercept course for the nearest Viren command ship. Sir? Anna looked confused. If we can't talk to them from a distance, we'll force a face-to-face meeting. Mark's eyes were steel as he looked at his crew. Dr. Reed needs a live Viren to prove her theory, and Earth needs us to stop those weapons. It's time for a direct approach. As the horizon changed course and accelerated toward the heart of the alien fleet, its crew prepared for what might be humanity's last desperate attempt to prevent extinction at the hands of aliens who feared the very air that gave humans life. The horizon raced toward the Viren command ship, engines straining beyond safe limits. On the bridge, Captain Mark Thompson watched the distance closing between his vessel and the massive alien warship. They've detected our approach, Anna reported. 3 interceptors breaking formation to engage us. Mark nodded grimly. Evasive pattern Delta. We need to reach their command vessel. He turned to Commander Alex Rivera, who had joined the mission specifically for this desperate gambit. Is your team ready? Alex, a compact man with determined eyes and a reputation as Earth's best tactical officer, gave a crisp nod. 6 volunteers, all armed with non-lethal weapons and wearing the modified environmental suits Dr. Reed designed. Remember, we need live specimens, Mark emphasized. No killing unless absolutely necessary. On the tactical display, the 3 Viren interceptors closed rapidly. Blue energy beams lanced out, narrowly missing the horizon as Anna executed a series of sharp maneuvers. Return. Fire, Mark ordered. Target their weapon systems only. The horizon's lasers struck the lead interceptor, causing it to veer off course. The other 2 continued their pursuit, firing continuously. Shields at 28%, Jack reported. 1 more direct hit and we're done. Route emergency power to the engines, Mark commanded. We need more speed. The horizon surged forward, closing the gap to the Viren command ship. The massive vessel loomed ahead, easily 20 times the size of the human ship. They're powering up their main weapons array, Emma warned. We have 30 seconds before they can fire. Mark pressed the ship-wide communicator. All hands brace for impact. Boarding team to launch bay. In the ship's laboratory, Lisa sealed her specialized environmental suit and grabbed her equipment case. The suit was designed to protect her from possible chlorine exposure while allowing the Virens to see her human form clearly. Inside the case were the tools she hoped would save humanity, evidence of Earth's natural evolution and the misunderstanding at the heart of the conflict. Dr. Reed, we need you in the launch bay now. Alex's voice came through her communicator. Lisa hurried through the corridors, passing crew members securing equipment and preparing for possible hull breaches. When she reached the launch bay, Alex and his team were already aboard the boarding shuttle, a small craft designed for short-range transport between ships. Once we breach their hull, we'll have minutes at most before their security forces respond, Alex briefed the team as Lisa strapped in. Our primary objective is to capture a VRAN officer alive and secure a communication terminal. The ship shuddered violently as a VRAN weapon found its mark. Hull breach on Deck 3, Anna's voice announced over the intercom. Boarding team, launch, now! The shuttle bay doors opened to the vacuum of space and Alex fired the thrusters. The small craft shot out from the horizon just as another energy beam struck the larger ship, sending it spinning. The horizon is disabled, Alex reported, grimly as they watched their ship go dark. We're on our own now. He guided the shuttle toward the VRAN command ship, taking advantage of the chaos of battle to approach undetected. Using scanning data collected during the engagement, Alex identified a potential entry point, a secondary docking port used. For maintenance, prepare for hard dock, he warned as he aligned the shuttle. Breach charges ready. The shuttle clamped onto the VRAN ship's hull with a metallic thud. Seconds later, shaped charges blew a hole through the alien vessel's outer layer. Warning alarms immediately blared inside the VRAN ship. Move, Alex ordered, leading the team through the breach and into the alien corridor. The atmosphere inside was different, denser, and with a greenish tinge. Lisa's instruments immediately began analyzing the composition. High chlorine content, she confirmed. Just as I suspected. Two startled VRAN crew members appeared at the end of the corridor, their blue-gray skin paling at the sight of the humans. They reached for weapons, but Alex fired first, hitting them with stun projectiles. The VRANs collapsed to the deck. Secure them, Alex ordered. Two team members rushed forward to bind the unconscious aliens. Lisa knelt beside one of the fallen VRANs, scanning it with her instruments. Their biology is fascinating. Chlorine is indeed their equivalent of our oxygen. They actually breathe it. Can you use that to prove we're not a threat? Alex asked, keeping watch down the corridor. I need access to their medical database. Or a lab, Lisa replied. And a conscious VRAN to communicate with. The team moved deeper into the ship, encountering surprisingly little resistance. Most of the crew seemed to be avoiding them. They're afraid of us, one team member observed. They're literally running away. They think we're toxic, Lisa explained. Our oxygen-rich bodies probably terrify them. After several tense minutes of navigating alien corridors, the team found what appeared to be a research center. Inside, a lone VRAN was frantically gathering data crystals. Alex moved swiftly, cutting off the alien's escape route. Don't move, Melarsh, he said, though he knew the VRAN likely couldn't understand him without a translator. The alien froze, its vertical pupils dilating with fear. Unlike the others they'd encountered, this one wore markings that suggested higher rank or specialization. Lisa stepped forward, her hands raised to show she meant no harm. She pointed to herself and said slowly, human, friend, not weapon. The VRAN stared at her, then reached slowly for a device on a nearby console. When Alex tensed, the alien made a gesture that seemed calming. I think it wants to communicate, Lisa said. The VRAN activated the device, which projected a field of light between them. When it spoke, its words were translated into rough English. You are not killing everyone? Why have oxygen carriers boarded our vessel? Lisa felt a surge of hope. To talk, to explain. We are not weapons. We evolved naturally. The VRAN scientist, for that seemed to be its role, tilted its head skeptically. Impossible. Oxygen is deadly poison. To you, Lisa agreed, but not to us. Just as chlorine is poison to us, but life to you. She opened her case and projected images of Earth's evolutionary timeline, showing how oxygen-based life had developed over billions of years. See? Natural evolution. Different paths, not engineered weapons. The VRAN studied the data with obvious shock. This contradicts our assumption. But why attack our scout ships? Misunderstanding, Alex explained. We thought you were scanning to attack. You thought we were dangerous because of our biology. The alarm suddenly blared throughout the ship. The Viran looked up with obvious distress. What is it? Lisa asked urgently. Atmospheric conversion weapons, the Viran replied. Launched toward your world, designed to neutralize oxygen threat. Lisa's heart raced. You have to stop them. Billions will die. We're not a threat, just different. The Viran hesitated, clearly. I am Kel, senior biological researcher. I cannot stop the weapons, only the High Commander can. Then take us to the High Commander, Alex demanded. Kel's vertical pupils contracted. The High Commander will not listen. Your presence here confirms his belief that humans are aggressive and dangerous. Then help us prove we're not, Lisa pleaded. The evidence is clear. Two different evolutionary paths, both natural, both valid. Kel studied Lisa's data again. Scientific curiosity clearly battling with fear and prejudice. Finally, the alien nodded. I will help you reach the command center, but I cannot guarantee the High Commander will listen. As they followed Kel through the ship's corridors, Lisa couldn't help but reflect on the tragic irony of their situation. Two intelligent species, each evolved to breathe what was poison to the other, now on the brink of war because of that simple biological difference. On the ship's main display, the antimatter weapons continued their deadly course toward Earth, carrying destruction born of fear and misunderstanding. The countdown to global catastrophe ticked relentlessly downward, while humanity's fate rested on the slim hope of convincing an alien commander that different didn't mean dangerous. How much time do we have? Alex asked as they hurried through the alien ship. The weapons will reach your atmosphere in 47 minutes, Kel replied. After that, nothing can stop the reaction. Mark's voice came through suddenly on their communicators, surprising everyone. Thompson to boarding team. The Horizon is back online. What's your status? We've made contact and have a potential ally, Alex reported. But we need to reach the command center to stop the weapons. Understood, Mark replied. We're detecting multiple Viran ships breaking formation and moving to intercept the weapons. Looks like not everyone agrees with this attack. Lisa felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps rationality and scientific understanding still had a chance to prevent catastrophe, if only they could reach the right people in time. Time was running out as Lisa, Alex, and their unlikely ally Kel hurried through the winding corridors of the Viran command ship. Twice they had to hide from security patrols, precious minutes ticking away while the antimatter weapons sped toward Earth. 35 minutes remaining, Kel informed them, checking a device on his wrist. The command center is 2 levels up. They reached an elevator-like platform that Kel activated with a wave of his hand. As they ascended, Lisa reviewed her presentation one final time. Everything depended on her ability to convince the Viran High Commander that humans were not biological weapons but simply a different form of life. The platform stopped, and they stepped into a wide corridor lined with armed guards. The guards immediately raised their weapons when they spotted the humans. Wait! Kel moved in front of Lisa and Alex, addressing the guards in the musical language of the Virans. These humans must speak with High Commander Lorne. It concerns the atmospheric weapons. The guards hesitated, their fear of the oxygen-breathing humans visible in their body language. Finally, one spoke into a communication device. After a tense moment, the guard nodded. The High Commander will see you, Kel translated. But your weapons must stay here. Alex reluctantly surrendered his stun gun, and the team was escorted through massive doors into the command center. A vast circular room filled with holographic displays and busy Viran officers. At the center stood a tall Viran with elaborate markings on his blue-gray skin. High Commander Lorne turned as they entered, his vertical pupils narrowing to slits at the sight of humans on his bridge. What is the meaning of this? He demanded, his words translated by the device Kel carried. Why have you brought these dangerous creatures into my command center? Kel stepped forward. High Commander, I believe we have made a grave mistake. These humans are not the weapons we thought them to be. Explain quickly, Lorne ordered, glancing at a countdown displayed prominently on the main screen. The purification weapons will reach their target in 30 minutes. Lisa took a deep breath and activated her own presentation device. High Commander, My name is Dr. Lisa Reed. I am a scientist like Kel. We have discovered the source of our misunderstanding. She projected images of Earth's evolutionary timeline, showing the development of oxygen-rich atmospheres and the life forms that evolved to use it. Humans breathe oxygen because our planet developed that way naturally over billions of years, just as your species evolved to breathe chlorine. She displayed comparative images of human and Viran biology side by side. Different, but both natural. Neither of us is a weapon. We are simply products of our environments. Lorne studied the data, his expression unreadable. This could be deception. How do we know you were not engineered by some ancient enemy to invade chlorine worlds? Because we had no idea chlorine-breathing life existed until we met you, Alex interjected. We were as surprised by your biology as you were by ours. Lisa added, if we wanted to harm you, why would we board your vessel with peaceful intent? Why would we be trying to stop this war? Before Lorne could answer, a Viran officer approached urgently. High Commander, 3 of our ships have moved to intercept the weapons without authorization. They are led by Science Overseer Marn. Lorne's face darkened. Open communication. A holographic screen appeared, showing a female Viran whose markings identified her as a high-ranking science officer. Marn, explain your actions, Lorne demanded. High Commander, I cannot allow this genocide, Marn replied firmly. Our preliminary analysis supports what these humans claim. Their oxygen use appears to be the result of divergent evolution, not artificial engineering. You would betray your own people based on a theory? Lorne challenged. I would prevent us from becoming murderers based on a misunderstanding, Marn countered. As scientists, we must follow evidence, not fear. Lisa sensed an opportunity and stepped forward. Commander Lorne, I propose a test. If I remove my helmet in this chlorine atmosphere, it would poison me, just as your people would be poisoned by oxygen. This proves neither of us designed our biology as a weapon. We're simply different. No, Kel moved to stop her. The exposure would kill you. Not immediately, Lisa said, and it would prove our point. Lorne raised his hand. That will not be necessary, human scientist. He studied the countdown timer, now showing 25 minutes. Even if what you say is true, the weapons cannot be recalled once launched. Then let us help you intercept them, Alex urged. Our ships could work together. Lorne hesitated, generations of caution warring with the scientific evidence before him. The risk is too great. If you are wrong about your own nature, then test us, Lisa interrupted. To everyone's shock, she reached up and unsealed her helmet, lifting it just enough to take a small breath of the chlorine-rich atmosphere before Alex forced it back down. She immediately began coughing violently, her eyes watering as the chlorine burned her lungs, but she stayed standing, facing Lorne through her tears. See? She gasped between coughs. Poison, to me, just as oxygen is to you. Neither weapon, just different. Lorne stared at her with what might have been respect. You risked your life to make your point, to save billions. Lisa managed, still struggling to breathe properly. A tense silence filled the command center, broken only by Lisa's labored breathing. Finally, Lorne turned to his officers. Order all ships to assist in intercepting the weapons. Priority 1, the command center burst into activity as orders were relayed. On the main display, they watched as Viran and human ships coordinated their efforts, targeting the deadly weapons speeding toward Earth. Will they make it in time? Alex asked, supporting Lisa, who was still recovering from her chlorine exposure. Some of the weapons will likely reach your atmosphere, Lorne admitted, but perhaps not enough to cause global devastation. For the next 20 minutes, they watched the desperate space battle unfold. One by one, the antimatter weapons were destroyed, some by Viran ships, others by Earth's defenders who had been joined by the recovered Horizon. When the countdown reached 0, 3 weapons remained. They plunged into Earth's atmosphere, detonating over remote ocean areas. The explosions were visible from space, bright flashes of light followed by massive clouds as the antimatter reacted with oxygen. But the chain reaction the Virans had feared did not occur. The concentration was insufficient, Kell observed. Your planet is safe. The tension in the command center eased slightly, though uncertainty remained in the air. What happens now? Alex asked. Lorne turned to face them. Now we must re-examine everything we thought we knew about biology in this galaxy. If two such different forms of life can evolve naturally, how many others might exist? 3 months later, Captain Mark Thompson stood beside Dr. Lisa Reed in a specially constructed meeting chamber on the moon. The room was divided by a transparent barrier, one side filled with Earth's oxygen atmosphere, the other with the chlorine, mix the Virans needed to breathe. On the human side, Earth's leaders waited nervously. On the Viran side, High Commander Lorne and Science Overseer Marn led their delegation. The Galactic Biological Coexistence Treaty, Lisa murmured, looking at the document displayed on screens on both sides of the barrier. I never thought I'd see this day. Mark smiled at her. You made it possible. Your willingness to risk your life convinced them we weren't the monsters they feared. We both made mistakes, Lisa admitted. They assumed our biology made us weapons. We assumed their actions made them aggressors. Both assumptions nearly led to disaster. As the human and Viran leaders began signing the treaty, a document acknowledging the natural evolution of both species and establishing protocols for peaceful contact between biologically incompatible civilizations, Lisa couldn't help but reflect on how close they had come to destruction. The war that began with an evacuation alarm, triggered by the simple act of scanning what one species considered dangerous life support, had ended with a profound new understanding. In the vast diversity of the universe, what gave life to one being might be poison to another. But difference didn't have to mean danger. It could also mean opportunity, for growth, for discovery, and for a richer understanding of life itself in all its wondrous varieties. As the ceremony concluded, human and Viran scientists gathered on their respective sides of the barrier, already sharing ideas for joint research projects and exchanging data about their worlds. The fear that had nearly destroyed them was being transformed into curiosity, and the misunderstanding that had nearly led to genocide was giving way to mutual respect. You know, Mark said quietly, watching the scientists excitedly comparing notes. Sometimes I think we're at our best when we're faced with our worst. Lisa nodded, watching as Kell used a translator device to explain something to a group of fascinated human biologists. The Virans have a saying, understanding begins when fear ends. I think we're finally ready to understand each other. In the airless void of the moon, two species who breathed poison to each other had found something far more important than biological compatibility. They had found common ground.